Greetings, everybody. Maximus here with some, well, not exactly breaking news, more like breaking-ish news from South Korea. Some of it a bit shocking, and some of it, well, fairly obvious to everyone except the South Korean transportation officials. So let's get to it. So as the investigation into South Korea's worst aviation disaster finally got around to looking into the true cause of the Jeju air crash, which wasn't the pilot, the Boeing 737, or the bird strikes, but the giant reinforced concrete bunker wall of death. And while we all know that was a fact, South Korea spent a lot of time diverting public attention to anything and everything else other than that wall. However, it was finally time for investigators to get to the bottom of the they, the who, the what, and the why of that ILS death bunker. And there was one witness the South Korean police needed to speak to who could unlock all the mysteries of that runway wall. And that witness was the former president of the company that operates the South Korean airport, where the Jeju Air crash landed last month. The Korea Airports Corporation, a government-owned company that operates more than a dozen airports, including Muan. And that man was Sun Chang-won, the president of the corporation. Sun Chang-won was the man who authorized and oversaw the building of the killer ILS wall at Muan and other airports within the country. However, when the police arrived to interview their witness, with which they had scheduled an appointment ahead of time, but when they arrived, Sun Chang-won failed to answer the door. So upon entry of his home, they discovered why he didn't hear them knock. Because he was alone, and he was quite deceased. Although South Korean police insist Chang-won wasn't a suspect, just a witness, apparently the former president was riddled with guilt and decided to pass judgment on himself. There was no evidence that anybody else was involved, so while he would have indeed held many of the answers to their questions, his loss, while tragic, wasn't really a problem, because there are plenty of other witnesses who have the information they need. But also at the same time this week, the South Korean government made another huge announcement that will come as no surprise to anybody who witnessed the crash, as we all did. And that is that the accident, which happened on December 29, 2024, when the Jeju Air Boeing 737 slammed into that infamous concrete barrier at the end of the runway and exploded. Well, the government has since reviewed the safety standards of the airport and is in the process of implementing significant reforms. Among the most important discoveries of the investigation was the concrete embankment at the end of Muan International Airport's runway, which, according to experts, and of course Stevie Wonder, said it heightened the impact of the crash. Heightened, really? Seriously? I guess Korea's not going to let go of that bone. Anyway, after the probe, South Korea's transport ministry announced it would take down the concrete barriers at Muan and 8 other airports around the country. Yes, 8. These barriers, which supported similar localizer systems, will be replaced with more lightweight or breakable structures, particularly in Muan's case. The localizer will be installed using frangible structures, ensuring that if an aircraft strikes the barrier, it will give way rather than causing severe damage, which was the kind of wall that was believed to have been installed at Muan Airport in the first place. Thus, the earlier visit to the former president of the company, who was obviously well aware of the true cause of the fatal crash. The ministry also announced that it ordered modifications to runway safety areas at 7 airports, including Muan and Jeju International Airports. These safety zones, which are designed to minimize damage in the event of a runway overrun, were found to be insufficient at some locations. Well, that was an amazingly obvious revelation. The recommended length for these safety areas is 240 meters, but Muan's safety zone was only 200 meters long. In a move to make the airport safer, the Transport Ministry is also making all airports comply with the requirements of having at least a 240-meter safety zone at the end of the runway. This will be part of the airport reviews and infrastructure upgrades across all South Korea's airports. Although the cause of the crash is still being investigated, a number of factors suggest potential contributing factors are the aircraft's recorder stopped working 4 minutes prior to the crash, leaving investigators with little information during those last few minutes. Also, questions remain about what role the bird strike contributed to the crash. Authorities say they're doing everything they can to find the disaster's primary cause, though the investigation is still going on. In addition to making modifications to the barriers and safety zones, they are also examining the safety standards at Muan and Jeju International Airport, 2 of the busiest airports in the nation. Similar localizer systems have also been discovered at Jeju Airport, the second largest airport in South Korea, which could be dangerous in the case of an accident. And finally, taking this story full circle, in a separate development in the wake of recent events, Authorities have also launched an investigation into the former president of Korea's Airports Corporation, Sung Chang-won, whose office oversaw the renovation of Muon's airport's infrastructure. However, Sung Chang-won will be unavailable for questioning forever. So South Korea is finally admitting what they should have been from the very start, whether it was the pilots, the plane, the birds, or all three that caused the crash landing. Those pilots got that plane on the ground and did a hell of a job flying it all at the same time. And they and their passengers went from being future celebrities and heroes to being vaporized, all in front of the world's eyes, in a matter of seconds. And the saddest part of all is that for reasons still unknown, but airport officials said they built a frangible wall and authorities signed off on a frangible wall. However, the wall didn't break away as designed. But the plane and all those inside, well, they sure did. And that's the real tragedy of the situation. So there is no bright side to this story. However, it's still something smarter people will have to learn from, and quickly, before it happens again. So that's the JeJu Air update I have for you today. As always, I look forward to hearing your thoughts, so please be sure to let me know down below. And on your way out, make sure to do all that YouTubey stuff. And as always, remember, until next time, yeah, this is Maximus.